So I know a lot of us were waiting to see how the Bulls were going to respond on Sunday night after their rough loss on ESPN national TV Friday night to the Golden State Warriors. Here was a chance to get right, although granted you have to do it against a Clippers team and even without Kawhi Leonard still has PG-13 and has rattled off 7 consecutive wins after kind of a sluggish start to the season. So you know the Bulls had a pretty good test in front of them, with this being the second game in a 5-game road trip. And the Bulls, obviously being without Vucevic in the lineup, you got some news about Kobe White could potentially be coming back as soon as Monday night in the Lakers game. I'll talk more about that in a little moment here. But yeah, one notable change in the lineup today, and that was Alex Caruso moving to the starting lineup. It was really interesting. They went really small in terms of their lineup for this game, like Lonzo, Levine, DeRozan, and Caruso. Like, yikes. That's kind of a small lineup along with Tony Bradley Jr. in the starting lineup. So I was wondering how this is all going to work out, if it was going to mess up some of the dynamics of the team, especially figuring out, the rotations and who comes in when. But from Jump Street, the Bulls came out of the gates and they were flying. DeMar DeRozan clearly showed that he enjoys playing back home in LA and had 12 points on 5 of 7 shooting from the field in the first. Like, he looked like he was ready. He looked like he wanted to do some big shit here. Then you look at the Bulls as a whole, like, this is a really good start for them. 50% from the field. Meanwhile, defensively, just as importantly, arguably more so, they held the Clippers to only 33% from the field. They caused all types of problems for the Clippers in that first quarter in terms of their offensive flow and rhythm, forcing 10 Clippers turnovers in that first stanza. Like, that's 10 turnovers in one quarter. Teams typically will go somewhere between maybe 14 to 18 on average turnovers in a game. The Bulls forced 10 in that first quarter. All the while, only 1 turnover of their own in the first, and their ball movement was much better. That was something that left them in that Golden State game, especially when you got into the second and third quarters. The ball movement was better here. And that's certainly, indicative of the adjustment of not having Vucevic in the lineup. The ball movement was impacted a little bit in that Friday night game, but here, Sunday night, started off better. And then, the second quarter happened, and the Bulls, frankly, admittedly, got a little bit out of sync offensively. Thankfully, DeRozan was still in a groove, still enjoying that hometown cooking of LA, if you will. He finished with 21 points for the half. And I will say, you'll look at the numbers and you'll say Paul George came to life a little bit in the second quarter, and he finished with 15 points for the half. So, obviously, the Bulls were having some challenges defending him. But I got to tell you, man, the numbers don't always tell the full story. And Paul George didn't have a great game, and he shot like shit from the field. That's the reality. And the true reality is that Alex Caruso was putting the clamps on him in the second quarter. Like, he was causing Paul George fits. If you don't believe me, because you're just going to look at the box score and you're going to think, oh, that's not true, go watch it. Paul George was having trouble getting any separation, any space from Caruso at all. He was having trouble getting shot off. He was clearly having Caruso get inside of his head. It was great to see. And the Bulls were still shooting 50% from the field and from 3 by the time you got to halftime. And they still had the lead. They were up 54-45. They had lost a little bit of it in the first quarter, but they were able to ebb the tide a little bit. Their defense was still doing some good work on the Clippers. They only shot 37% from the field and 26% from 3, which was kind of a theme of the game. They did not shoot the ball well. Some of that was they were just missing open shots, and then other times it was because the Bulls were playing some great perimeter defense, and they were rotating well and they were swarming to the ball. So it was a rough go of it for the Clippers Sunday night. The problem was the Bulls weren't great in the third quarter, but still had enough to hold on to the lead. They were up 77-71 after 3. DeRozan had 26 after 3. Levine came to life a little bit in that third quarter. He finished the third quarter with 21 points. But you did see some cold shooting and some questionable decision-making. It wasn't just Zach, it was others too. Like a little rush, a little too, me dominant in terms of not moving the ball, not facilitating the offense, not getting others involved. There's a lot of first chance we get, we're going to just try and crash to the basket and hope something happens. And it wasn't in the third quarter. Yet they were kind of lucky because the Clippers were still shooting the ball relatively poorly, evidenced by the fact of after 3 quarters, PG-13 was only 5 of 18 from the field, and Reggie Jackson was a woeful 2 for 12. So while the Bulls weren't playing great basketball in the second and third quarter, the fact that other marquee players on the Clippers weren't shooting the ball well, combined with the Bulls' defense doing enough at key points, like it was keeping them in the lead. But then it got to the fourth quarter, and I got really worried there because I didn't like the way this game was flowing, because I was really like, if the Bulls are truly a great team, they would bury the Clippers in the first half and put this game completely out of reach. That's what a great team would do. The Bulls are a good team. They're not a great team yet. As this is an example of where they should have been up 25 at halftime. As in that first quarter, they looked so superior to the Clippers in every facet and capacity of the game. But the Clippers, to their credit, found a way. You even had Paul George whining about the officials and whining about not getting foul calls. So, heard Stacey King during the broadcast, talk about he'll probably come right back down and they'll give him the foul, and they sure did. It was a and-one situation. The Clippers were able to get all the way back into the lead, and I was really worried, like, oh, crap, this means the Bulls are going to lose this one. It was nice while it lasted, but you know what? To their credit, they kind of rallied and responded, got kicked in the ass a little bit, and they didn't give up. They locked down enough defensively, were able to find just a little bit of an offensive rhythm late. It was kind of one of those things like you saw late in the game, Levine, everybody's going to talk about the fact he hit that great shot from the left wing over 3 defenders. And it's like, that's one of those why, yes type of shots, because it was a terrible shot. There were other guys that were open. That's where sometimes Zach can still get a little tunnel vision, and you'd like him not to be quite so tunnel vision sometimes. But if you want to be an alpha dog, sometimes you just have to take those alpha dog shots, and you got to freaking hit him, and he did there. It was a big road win for the Bulls, though, coming off a Friday night and now having a great performance against the Warriors, their first real blowout loss of the season. They respond here, beat a quality opponent that had previously won 7 games in a row. Not a lot to complain with. Chicago beats the Clippers 100-90. It was a big day for DeRozan, like we said. Led the Bulls with 35 points. Zach LaVine added 27. And to me, Alex Caruso was the hero of the night. You're going to look at the box score and say 7 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Solid type of role player type of game, what you would expect from him. But his impact goes far beyond the box score. And I got to say this, I tweeted, I think it was during the game on Friday, that we're looking ahead to that 2024 Olympic team. Now, you could call me out for Bulls bias all you want, and that's fine. But I look at a guy like Alex Caruso and I say, that is exactly the type of role player that should be on the American Olympic team, right? He could defend multiple positions. He could be a secondary facilitator and distributor, shot creator. He can shoot from the outside. He has game on both offense and defense. That versatility, that combination, he's perfectly suited for that international style of basketball. This is the type of guy that should be on that next Olympic team. But watching this game, and seeing some of the work he was doing on Paul George and others, you'll be damned if you're going to tell me there are 5 better defenders in the NBA right now. Eventually you're probably going to start hearing Bulls fans talk about him being Defensive Player of the Year. And I understand it. I don't know if I'm quite ready to go there yet, but he absolutely belongs in that first team All-NBA defense conversation because he is doing some great work right now, and he did some great work here. PG-13 had 27, but he was on 7 of 25 shooting. He already had a bad day as it was, and Caruso certainly made his life fucking suck at key times when he was guarding him. Bledsoe had 21, but, Reggie Jackson was only 13 points on 4 of 17 shooting. Yeah, Alex Caruso, All-NBA first defensive team. We should start beating the drum now. Yeah. And then with the news of Kobe White coming back on Monday night, look, I've expressed my trepidation and concern. You could say, well, without Vucevic, they could use some offensive punch off the bench. I don't disagree with you. I don't know if you need the type of offensive punch that a Kobe White's going to provide with his inefficient shooting ass. Are you really wanting to take minutes out of the rotation for a guy like Ayo, a guy like Caruso? I'm certainly not positioned to do that at this point. Why would you be? I understand they need the offense, but they need some of the other things that the guys like Caruso and Ayo bring to the lineup more. And there's only so many minutes you can give to guards and wings at this point. And the Bulls are pretty loaded in that area. If Kobe White played the 4-5, it's a different conversation. They need that. I don't know if they need what Kobe White's going to bring right now. I'm very anxious to see how Billy Donovan works him into the lineup and how much he's going to upend things to try and get Kobe some shots. Maybe he'll be on a minutes restriction first, and that'll help some. That's probably the best for all parties involved because you don't want to screw up the chemistry of this team that's playing pretty well right now just to accommodate one guy who is not your 1, 2, or even 3 option in your offense. Next up for the Bulls, though, you've got the Lakers on Monday night. It's Alex Caruso's revenge game. Yeah! Looking forward to this one, even if they don't have LeBron. Still the Lakers. You're in LA. It's a chance for another statement win by the Chicago Bulls, and let's hope that they get it.